Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play Sid Meier's Civilization V Gods and Kings as the Maya. We are going to play an awesome, exciting game here, and we're going to try quite a few new things and really try to break the standard Civ 5 strategy and see what we can do that's really kind of off the wall and it's going to be a little strange to people. We're going to do that by taking advantage of some of the really unique and interesting traits that the Maya offer us. One of the things I really like about the Mayans is that they have added one of the most unique abilities in all of Civdom, I think, which is their long count calendar. Right, the Mayans had their own calendar system, which is why that whole, like, oh, the world is ending in 2012 thing is coming up, because that's when one of their calendar counts runs out. But in this game, you get a great person every time one of their long counts comes up, which is every, like, 400 years thereabouts, like 394 or something like that. I don't know if it says it in here. I'm not sure that it does, but it does say it on the screen when you load the game. In addition to that, they have a fantabulous unique building. They have a pyramid, not the pyramids, but a pyramid. It replaces the shrine, and instead of, in fact, can I not do this? Replace the shrine. So the shrine costs 1 maintenance and gives you 1 faith. Cost 40 hammers. The pyramid, 40 hammers, 1 maintenance, gives you 2 faith and 2 science. It's just mind-blowing how good the pyramid is. I mean, early in the game. The thing is, you get it early in the game. All you need is pottery for it. It's really, really amazing and strong, and I don't know, feels overpowered to me. Then they also have the atlat list, which actually the best way to show this off is to take a look very quickly at the tech tree. If we open the tech tree, we're going to look at archery, and you will see archery does not give us an archer. This is the other thing that the Mayans do that is so rare, in that not their unique unit is not just a replacement of an existing unit, but actually moves it to a completely different technology. The Atlas is available right from the start of the game. It's basically an archer right at the beginning of the game. It's also really cheap. So that's a lot of early game power. So what are we going to do with all these things? How are we going to abuse it? The thing is, I think you can play any game as the Mayans, any strategy, and they're just going to be a strong selection. But we are going to bring something very retro back. In old Civ games, and I'm talking about like Civ 1, 2, and 3, there was a strategy called ICS. It stands for Infinite City Sprawl, or Spam, depending on who you ask. And basically, it was the idea that you put out as many cities as possible. And the reason is, it was twofold. One, city maintenance and corruption and everything was really highly tied to the population that you had, and little things like that. But also, buildings cost maintenance. So rather than have few cities with lots of buildings that were very expensive, you tended to have more cities that were kind of small and crappy, and with very few buildings, just a few of them. But you would use buildings that would really multiply, or would give you a flat bonus. So the more cities you had, the more of these flat bonus buildings you would have. So you can imagine what would happen here if we spammed out tons and tons and tons of cities, and they would all have a pyramid. Well, that's 2 beakers. That's pretty strong, and that's also a lot of faith. That's not bad. And that's the strategy we're going to use. We're also going to use the fact, so we're going to use those free beakers, the excellent science from the pottery. We're also going to use all that extra faith we're going to have to pick religious picks that support ICS. And that's really, that is something that Gods and Kings really enables. Civ 4 did away with it a lot because of the way they implemented the sort of support and corruption model, and the fact that in Civ 4, buildings did not cost maintenance. Cities cost you. Buildings did not. So you were encouraged to sort of cap off the amount of cities and just make each city a higher quality type of settlement. Rapid expansion was still beneficial in Civ 4, but spamming them out was not. In Civ 5, because of the happiness model, it's actually not a game that you tend to mass expand a lot. Some of my best games were the ones where, for example, the One City Challenge was excellent and it impressed me to the power of a small empire, a small but tall empire, as opposed to a wide empire. And since then, I've been doing a lot of 2 or 3 city games. The maximum I'll settle is maybe 3 cities, and then, you know, I might conquer some puppets later on. This one, we are literally looking to pack in the cities as tightly as possible, and that's it. That's our only priority. We're going to try to maximize our first city placement as much as possible, but other than that, where our actual cities get placed doesn't matter for anything other than just fitting the grid. Cities have to be 4 tiles apart, which means sort of 3 blank tiles apart. So 1, 2, 3. So assuming there's not a mountain right here, I could put a city right there. And that's it. I don't care about anything else. Hopefully I'm going to pick up some luxury resources. But beyond that, there's not a whole heck of a lot I'm looking into. So I will finish this video by settling my first city. And then in the next video, we will actually start playing a little bit. Now, because I want to talk about city placement. Usually in Civ, I end up placing my settler basically where he spawns. With the logic being, I don't want to lose a turn moving him. And also, the game does try to place a settler in a pretty good location with lots of resources. However, I've kind of come to change that, and that's especially going to be the case here because my cities are not going to be very big. So it's important that the tiles that I work are amazing. And one of the mechanics that we're going to abuse here is the production of the center tile, the tile the city is actually colonized on. So by default, your city's tile is going to produce 2 food, 1 hammer, and 1 gold. So if I were to settle here, that's what would happen. The catch is if you settle on a tile that has more than that number, that 211 number, that will be preserved. So the trick is I'm going to spend a whole turn to move my settler on top of this hill. Probably this hill. I'm going to move the warrior first and double check. And then when I settle, this tile will still produce 2 food. It will, however, produce 2 hammers instead of 1, and then 1 gold. So I will double the production of my center square. And I mean, it's only plus 1 hammer, but at the beginning of the game, it's worth a lot. In fact, despite the fact that it's going to cost me a turn, because I'm going to eat a whole turn on my settler to move, and then I'll be colonizing on the second turn of the game, it's actually going to be a fairly worthwhile move. That's assuming I'm going to move this warrior, and I'm going to move him straight down to here to get a peek at what's what. Okay, we've got more salt. And I like salt, but I'm realizing I only have a single luxury resource here, which, I mean, I have 2 of the same, but I only have 1 type of luxury resource, and that's actually going to hurt a lot with this strategy. This may not be the game where I should use this strategy, the infinite city sprawl, but I'm going to just because I wanna. So I'm going to settle up here. What I do like, though, is even moving down here, I'm still going to have a tile in my first ring that has a value of 3. And what do I mean by that? Early on, the most important thing is food and hammers. And you can see that this tile will give me 3 of those in total, whereas this tile only gives me 1, and this gives me 2, and 2, and 2. The salt will give me 3. So the oasis could give me 3 if I want to move all the way over there. And I suppose I could settle on this desert hill, and that would be totally fine. I would still get a 3 production square within the start, and that might be fine. But I think I want to stay along the river for now, so I'm just going to move down and colonize this hill here. And then, so because my city will start with 2 hammers from here, and my first unit of population will work this tile and get slightly more of an edge. Of course, I'd still get that if I settled here. So anyway, without further ado, let's move here. We'll skip to the next turn. We will plant the city down, and then this intro video will come to an end. Build. We're going to build Palenque. I'm going to assume that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, that's it. I will see you guys very shortly.